Hey guys, Sundown here. This is gonna be my chapter review to One Piece 934 Hyogoro and the Flower. Now, another good chapter by Oda. Let's get into it. So, the first scene is the Big Mom pirates converse about Big Mom. Now, in this first scene, we have Perospero, Daifuku, Smoothie, and a couple other notable Big Mom pirates whose names I can't remember, talking about Big Mom falling off the ship. And this scene is surprising because even though they're aware of Big Mom's survival due to her Viva card being completely intact, the crew seems to be entirely okay with Big Mom not being there, with Big Mom's fall and everything like that, and they don't seem to give too much of a shit about her possible capture. And I mean, like, they really don't care. Like, Perospero just, he kind of jokes about how he would inherit the crew if Big Mom were to perish, claiming that being the firstborn is the way he views inheritance, the law of inheritance he goes by, over being the most capable, which would be Katakuri. Smoothie chastises her family for thinking that Big Mom would die in such a way, in such a fashion, saying that normal logic doesn't apply to her, which is true. Big Mom is kind of cray-cray, and she's really robust, really powerful. The normal law doesn't really apply to her in terms of physiology or anything like that. So, but I feel like this is where the Big Mom pirates have really shown their failings time and time again, more than anywhere else in their kind of, in my assessment of them. And the discord and disunity within their ranks is so rife that they wouldn't even mind if their captain were to die, and in this case their captain is their mother. So I feel like in this situation you can say Big Mom is kind of reaping what she'd sown many years ago with having this many kids and the way she's treated them. But this is why the Straw Hats have done so well so far, especially against the Yonko. While the Yonko have like powerful individuals within their crews capable of being great captains, they have monsters as captains who care for nothing but pursuing their own goals, and their own goals are usually quite weird and unique. So we then go to the second scene, which I've named Convoy to Udon. So this scene starts with Hitetsu going apeshit at Tama for beginning a journey to Udon with Kiku and everyone else, and he's concerned for her health, old man Tengu. He's concerned for Tama's health because she's weak as fuck, but he's also concerned that Momo is going to Momonosuke, straight to the prisoner's mine. This is the one place they don't want to go apart from the capital, and that's exactly where they're going. So you got to feel for the guy here. He's just trying to do his job, and he's being like dismantled by kids essentially. Anyway, Big Mom and Chopper then kind of Big Mom and the Chopper crew go for a ride atop this big ass lizard crocodile looking thing, and it's here that we discovered two things. One, Big Mom has had her hair done up in a kind of traditional women's top knot with the two kind of pillars, pencils, chopsticks kind of things going through. I'm not sure what they're actually called, but you know what I'm talking about. The two kind of wooden pieces going through her hair diagonally. And I thought this was more of a Chinese thing, but I'm not well versed in like East Asian hairstyles for women, or in even worldly hairstyles for women. So that's not kind of my thing. So let me know if any of you guys know if there are any ladies out there watching from East Asia. Let me know if this is more of a Chinese thing, or if it's is it a Japanese thing as well, which Wano seems to be primarily based off of. So the second thing that I noticed is Chopper notices that Napoleon has been silent, and he's wondering now if he too has lost his memories. And I think this is going to be a greater plot point. I don't think Napoleon has lost his memories per se, but why has he gone into hibernation? I mean, like, he should still have part of Big Mom's soul within him, so he should be active. There's no real reason for why Napoleon, logically speaking anyway, would be in this hibernation form. So it must be something to do with Big Mom, her abilities going AWOL whilst she's in this like memory loss state, whilst she's in this amnesiac state. So it must be something to do with that. Let me know what you guys think. Anyway, Okiku also pulls out a very useful map showing the whole of Wano and how it has been kind of split up. And I actually really like this picture, this essential map. I really liked it. I thought it was really it was a good time to use it, good time to pull it out, and I really enjoyed seeing how Wano is split, the different areas, and it just helps me. I like to visualize the journey as it's occurring. It's why when I read the Game of Thrones books, they have a map at the beginning. The maps in those were, those were really good. So yeah, just seeing like where freaking the lions, then I forgot what it's called, but essentially where the Lannisters and all that where they kind of reside in comparison to like where Winterfell is, in comparison to King's Landing, and all that stuff. It's a very good way to help me as a reader to visualize where things are going down, and I just enjoyed that part. So apart from making their journey to Udon easier to visualize, we can see that Mount Fuji actually exists, clearly exists in Wano. So I doubt it'll play a part, but I thought it was just a cool observation that Mount Fuji is in Wano. Anyway, Kiku mentions that Wano is split into 6 parts due to a large river, one that they'll have to cross to get to Udon. And no doubt there will be some conflict around this river, and it will most likely play a key role strategically moving forward. Once again, hinting back at Game of Thrones when they utilize, I think it was a water system of some sort, a canal system. I think it's somewhere near Meereen, somewhere along Daenerys' journey when she's in the east somewhere, and they use the water systems to get into the kind of fortress city, much like how the orcs in Lord of the Rings actually they get that one suicidal orc, the kamikaze orc, and he just goes into the water system underneath and explodes that on their kind of venture towards, I forgot what the place is called, but you know what I'm talking about. Y'all have seen it. Anyway, we see Momonosuke here practicing his swordplay, and actually, wait, before we go into that, there's a couple other things. So we see how this river splits Wano into six kind of pieces. We have Kuri on the left, we have the prisoners southwest, so that's Udon. We have some other places as well. We have the flower capital in the middle. But we're also told that the weather varies depending on which part of Wano you're in, and not just like, it's raining in this area and then in other areas it's not raining. Because I fully actually have their own climate. Like, we see the northern cemetery in this chapter and it's snowing there, whereas in Kuri it seems to be quite decent weather. We then see Momonosuke here practicing his swordplay and yelling some sort of kiai, which is a short shout when performing a move. If you've done any sort of martial art or like boxing, even in boxing they'll do some variety of it. It's essentially, you just kind of emphasize it's a breathing pattern, essentially a small shout you use when you make impact with someone as you perform a move, or like with a boxing bag or with an individual. It's kind of just, I'm not sure if it must kind of improve the impact just because of the nature of the breathing and just the rhythm it grants you. So I think it is a very, I've not read up on it or anything like that, but I think it is something that you're supposed to do to be technically sound. Anyway, Kiku notices this kiai that Momonosuke uses and asks him where he learnt it, and he says that Zorojuro, being Zoro, taught him. So Kiku then tells Momonosuke to not use the word again, which was snatch or something like that, saying that in the old Kuri dialect there was a very similar, if not the same, kiai. There was a very similar shout, and she says it's not befitting of someone like Momonosuke, suggesting she thinks of the old Kuri dialect as being beneath her lord. And I thought old school Kuri was where Odin went to whoop some ass. So surely Kiku should be like proud of the fact that Momonosuke, wants to represent the ends. He's like, this is something from Kuri. This is where my dad gained his like legendary status. This is I should be representing Kuri. That's what I would think. Unless of course she feels he is above the villainy that Kuri was so well known for way back then. So it might be something like that, or it might just be some beef she's got with Kuri herself. I don't know, but I thought it would have been a cool thing to represent Kuri, seeing as that's kind of where the legend of Odin started. Anyway, Zoro fanboys will be going wild here, which is the main plot point, because Zoro taught Momonosuke something that originated from Kuri. So how did he know this? Was he born in Wano or some shit? Is Zoro the father of the shogun? People are going to be saying some real stupid shit. And I just think it's likely that Zoro's master was either from Wano, he's either from Wano, had been taught in Wano, or had been taught by someone from Wano. He then taught Zoro, letting this story come full circle. But who knows? Oda might have something big lined up for Zoro. But we're in Wano. Zoro's a swordsman. Something's bound to be lined up for him. But I don't personally think it'd turn out to be something along the lines of Zoro having been born in Wano or some shit like that. We then go to the Northern Cemetery crew, which is where Nami and company are, and they're pooped and tired now that they've returned to the Northern Cemetery where it's snowing. They make mention of a few important things, and I do mean a few. There's like a good solid 4 points, I think. So the first thing is Nami wants to go to the bathhouses in order to rejuvenate herself and her crew. She also wants to check up on Otoko, who they left in the Pleasure District, or as Manga Stream said, the Red Light District. Essentially the same thing. Now, I'm not sure about you, but considering these guys just caused a huge fuss in the Shogun's castle, I'm not sure if they should be wandering through public bathhouses right about now. That doesn't seem like a very intelligent move, and the fact that Robin agrees with it just makes me think, you know, are y'all stupid? You know, you need to calm down, boil some water and bathe in it, and then just take turns, you know, go old Victorian shit. Don't do none of that public bathhouse shit while you're in the middle of war, essentially. You've already started it. This isn't child's play now. This is the middle of war. You cannot just go to a public bathhouse like that. So I'm calling them out on that, but I think it is going to move the story forward slightly. They might even get caught out. The second point is Kanjuro makes mention of the man who was leader of the Yakuza after they're talking about Kyoshiro. He makes mention of the leader of the Yakuza from 20 years ago, whose name was Hyogoro the Flower. We'll come back to that. Third point, Robin tells us of the bits and pieces she managed to find out. Depressed that she couldn't find out more, but she impresses Kanjuro with what she does know and what she did find out while she was at Orochi's castle. So she knows when Orochi will wake on the day of the battle that's going to ensue. She knows what will be transported to Onigashima. She knows when the banquet will happen, what Kaido's favorite meal is, the hierarchy of his subordinates, their weaponry, military strength. So for me, that's all pointing towards Robin now becoming tactically the most important piece within the Straw Hat Alliance. You know, like in terms of intelligence gathering, she's done it. You need Robin to stay alive, to stay healthy, because she knows shit. You need her in order to devise a solid plan. So I'm really hoping that Oda will utilize and show, like, he will give Robin the screen time and he will utilize her in a very appropriate way, maybe commanding the Straw Hat Alliances strategically. That would be a very fantastic use of Robin's cognitive abilities in comparison to everyone else. But I'm not saying that she shouldn't get a fight or anything. I just feel like she should be more backlines commanding, and then once, you know, they've gained leeway in some areas, she'll go and perform the cleanup, and if she gets a good fight there, whatever, cool. But Robin needs to be shown, I feel. Anyway, point 4. Brook tells Robin he found another poneglyph in a room locked behind a rock-solid door. Now, the fact that poneglyphs are just popping up all over the place now shows you that we are within Yonko territory. You know, poneglyphs are going to play an important part to the story. But Brook says it's this room with the poneglyph in it is also filled with wooden human figurines. And that sounds spooky as fuck. And Shinobu refers to these figurines as Kokeshi dolls, suggesting that they may bear some importance. And I have done no research on Kokeshi dolls. Probably should have done before this review. But let me know if you guys know anything about Kokeshi dolls and what their importance is, what they symbolize or signify. And Shinobu seems to be sweating when she mentions this, so maybe it's something unique to Wano. Anyway, Robin concludes that the road poneglyph must be on Onigashima, which is a fair point to make. Anyway, third scene, is this the third scene? I think, yeah, it's a scene. Yeah, so the next scene is the Sanji and his crew. So we go to the flower capital where the people are all up in arms and kind of crying about Komurasaki's death. Like, they're physically crying. And Oda really tries to sell it this chapter that Komurasaki is dead, leading me to believe that she is in fact not dead. We learn a few important things here though. So first, the lore notes that Komurasaki's funeral occurs tomorrow, so the day after the time they're in this chapter. And this might lead or might play an important role going forward with Komurasaki rising from the dead or some shit during the funeral. So I think that's going to be an important plot point. There's every bit of information you can take from this chapter. So we learn also, this is the second point, we learn of this smell, which is Wano's equivalent of a denden mushi. It's like this thin thing on top of like a spirally wooden stick. Third point, the crew here learn about Eustace Kid, who has escaped from prison apparently. This will no doubt play an important part in the next few chapters. This should be within the next couple chapters that this comes to the fore. Fourth point, I loved Sanji's running gag of considering using his raid suit to go to the women's bathhouses, but to be honest, I feel like this might actually occur. This might be something that is part of the story, because if he did go, he'd probably meet up with people like Nami and Robin, where shit might go down because they recognize who they are, something like that. We have to remember that the Oniwabanchu are still after Robin, and they're probably not. They're not going to stay within the castle. They're going to go out and try and find Robin. So, and that's probably when someone like Hanzo, which is one of the Oniwabanshu, will meet someone like Shinobu again or something like that, and they'll converse, and then maybe something to do with Old Man. Well, I doubt Hyogoro will come into that, to be honest, because he was Yakuza, so he shouldn't have a tie-in to the Oniwabanshu. But something with the Oniwabanshu and Shinobu and having Sanji meet them and Nami and Robin within a bathhouse sounds like it might be plausible. Anyway, we then go to Udon Prison. So here we have a whole bunch of gaolers who have popped up because of Kid's apparent escape, looking for anyone involved. Alpaca Man made me laugh my ass off. I thought this was great. He just rolls up and he's spitting in Luffy's face. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's so demeaning. Like, why would you do that? So like that was great. The manga stream page for this, I've forgotten which page it is. So that when we're first introduced to Alpaca Man, you'll see where actually the person. This is a great example of what the people who redraw do. So you'll see the collar line of Alpaca Man still actually there. So essentially, what the guy who redrew the chapter for manga stream did is he drew the line where he assumed the collar line for Alpaca would be, and then he drew around that, and you can still see it there. He forgot to rub it out, I think. So yeah, it's just an example of if anybody's interested in redrawing, which I have no idea about. I'm just assuming that's what it is. I have no idea about the process behind these scanlations, but that's what I'm assuming it is. So that was pretty cool, and it's not really something that it's not really something manga stream should be ashamed of. It's just one of those things. We see an elephant smile user here, possibly a scorpion smile user as well, with the latter beating down on Old Man Hyo for using Luffy's ticket for some kibidango. Old Man Hyo, he's full of honor, integrity, respect, and he refuses to tell on Luffy or waste the kibidango. You know, he's not going to tell these gaolers that Luffy was the one that, you know, gave him these tickets, because then Luffy would be in some big shit. So I feel like Hyo is also he's in a situation where he wants to stand up to this cowardice. He's had enough. He remembers who he used to be, and he's standing up to these cowards, responding to Luffy's kind of honor and chivalry, or Ninkyo, which means way of the Yakuza. Thank you, Jaimini's box. With his own way of the Yakuza, with his own chivalry, his own honor and integrity. So essentially, he's saying Luffy is worthy of his respect, so he will show respect and protect Luffy as if he was one of his own. It's here that Old Man Hyo tells his abuser that he was once known as Hyogoro. Is it Gyoro? No, it's Hyogoro. If he says Hyogoro of the flowers, or Hyogoro the flower himself. So it was one of the translations. I think manga stream was of the flower, or of the flowers, and Hyogoro the flower was from Jaimini's box. Either way, it sounds. I don't know about you guys, but it sounds pretty cool to me. And he used to be the former leader of the Yakuza. So surely this needs to play a part moving forward, possibly with intelligence gathering, but I'm assuming it's going to be gaining numbers in Wano, which is what the Yakuza are going to provide for the Straw Hats, because the Straw Hats are currently lacking major numbers. So I think that's where maybe that'll come in. Maybe the Yakuza will defect back to Hyogoro or something like that. I don't know. This was a really cool way, I felt, to tie the old man into the story, and it's a typical kind of tool that Oda uses to introduce someone with seemingly no worth, only to then dedicate an entire chapter to them. You know, I mean, like, this chapter is named for Hyogoro the flower. So Luffy is drawn to the old man like a moth to a flame and rushes in to rescue him, leaping into an attack like an enraged gorilla. I thought that was appropriate, seeing as we're among smile users. And at this point, Queen arrives just outside the gates of the prison, being heralded in by his men. And this doesn't look good for Luffy, who's about to open a can of whoop-ass, but, you know, Queen is just outside, and probably not a good time to open this can of whoop-ass. However, there may be more to this scene than there seems. So Kid has probably not escaped. I'm thinking he's not an idiot who would run away with his Kairoseki cuffs still on, probably. He's most likely somewhere in the prison with Raizo, and has planned something with Luffy, and all Luffy needed to do was draw attention. So I feel like maybe Kid can get a hold of the keys, seeing as he may be able to attract them to himself, you know, seeing as he has that kind of magnetic thing going on. And if he gets his cuffs off, then it's game over for everyone, essentially, unless, you know, Queen is there. And I think someone actually said all of that on manga stream, so I agree with you, lad. Good point. I think that might be the point, and that might be the plot going forward. I'm still in the back of my mind trying to figure out what. Let me just see what it was called. Lannister's home. let's just see what it's called. It's Casterly Rock. I was gonna say Castleford. I don't know why, but Casterly Rock is what I was referring to. Anyway, that's the end of the chapter, and that's the end of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I should see you guys tomorrow for my One Punch Man review. Should be a good chapter, so I'll see you guys in a bit.